Good evening. I'd like to call our Thursday, July 10th, 2025, 7 p.m. regular council meeting to order. We will kick off the evening with our opening prayer, welcoming Reverend Jim Case with Tallmadge Lutheran Church.
Will you please pray with me? Eternal God, our Father, we come today as egotists, asking you to allow us to pray for ourselves so that we can work together as one to the improvements of our community, to be better stewards, to be better ambassadors, and to be better people so when people see us, they see a city that is truly dedicated to one another. To our safety forces, I pray that you'll bless and be with our police and our fire, watching over them, directing them, and helping them, so that when they are in harm's way, your armor of God will be upon them. To our city administrators, to our council, I just ask you'll guide them. Allow their actions to be actions through you and because of you. Today we give you the glory and thanks. In your name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Thank you. Please join me in the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, we'll move on to our roll call. Clerk, please call the roll.
Jonathan Bolus.
Here.
Christine Sippa.
Here.
Jessica Epstein.
Here.
Donald Pavlik.
Mr. Pavlik is excused this evening.
Tracy Pletcher.
Here.
Ted Roy.
Here.
Nick Rubino.
Here.
All right, we have 6 counselors present. Moving on to item 4, correcting and adopting the previous meeting minutes, 6/26/25 meeting minutes.
I'd move to adopt.
I'll second it.
We have a motion and a second to adopt the June 26, 2025 meeting minutes as presented. Any discussion on the meeting minutes? Clerk, please call the roll.
Christine Sippa.
Yes.
Jessica Epstein.
Yes.
Tracy Pletcher.
Yes.
Ted Roy.
Yes.
Nick Rubino.
Yes.
Jonathan Bolus.
Yes. The meeting minutes from June 26, 2025 are adopted by a vote of 6-0. Moving on to item 5, financial reports. Tonight, we are in receipt of fire and EMS fund transfer in the amount of $219,000, street maintenance and repair fund transfer in the amount of $218,000, bond repair fund in the amount of $100,000 to council on June 30th, 2025. The appropriations report, fund report, and revenue report for the period ending June 30th, 2025 to council on July 7th, 2025. The June financial reports to council on July 7th, 2025. The Tallmadge Rec Center profit and loss report for the period ending June 30th, 2025 to council on July 7th, 2025. The income tax comparisons for the period ending June 30th, 2025 to council on July 7th, 2025. The income tax by source report for the month of June to council on July 7th, 2025. The revenue comparisons for major funds for the period ending June 30th, 2025 to council on July 7th, 2025. And finally, consolidated investment portfolio for the period ending June 30th, 2025 to council on July 7th, 2025.
Motion to accept all financial reports.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to accept the financial reports as presented. Any discussion on the financial reports or questions? Clerk, please call the roll.
Jessica Epstein.
Yes.
Tracy Pletcher.
Yes.
Ted Roy.
Yes.
Nick Rubino.
Yes.
Jonathan Bolus.
Yes.
Christine Sippa.
Yes.
Financial reports are accepted by a vote of 6-0. Moving along to item 6, this is public hearings. We have none this evening. Moving to item 7, community input. This is the time in the meeting. If there's anyone in the audience that would like to speak on an item that's not on the agenda for committee, you may do so at this time.
If I may.
Yes, please. Please state your name and address.
I'm Jim Case, 204 Tallwood. A couple of months ago, I came in here asking council to consider handicap crossings in Tallmadge Woods. And I thought, okay, I'll hear from you again in July or November, somewhere in there. The project is complete. And I want to represent my community for people who are on strollers, walkers, and whatever. You know, just thank you for caring about the people. Number 2, sir, is Tallmadge Circle with the barricades that are up there. They're not metal. They look great. I really, you go to so many cities and see these beautiful circles and these horrible metal barriers blocking them. To you, Jonathan, thank you. We've got a great city. I'm honored to be a member here in the community. God bless.
Thank you very much, Jim.
Mr. Case, those were picked out by our Director of Public Service, Mr. Rohr. He found those nice, rustic guardrails, so you can give him all the credit for that.
I saw him earlier today, and I did.
Good.
All right. Anyone else from the community that would like to speak this evening? All right. Moving along to item 8. This is agenda additions. We have one item this evening. This is our liquor request for Max Convenience Stores LLC. We've all received information on this from Ms. Poole. Would you like to make any comments?
Yes, thank you, and good evening, everyone. Just happy to summarize this in addition to the information the council members have received. I did do research, the current status of Circle K doing business. That's their DBA designation. They are doing so with an existing C1 permit listed under permit name Max Convenience Stores LLC, and that was issued on December 18th of 2006. Their current C1 permit allows retail store beer only in original sealed containers for carryout only. And the change being requested is twofold. One is the business name of the permit holder is now changing to MMCS Services LLC, and they are requesting an added C2 permit in addition to the current C1 permit listed above. That request includes retail store wine and prepackaged low-proof mixed beverages in sealed containers for carryout only. Due to the fact that these two permits are similar to what Sheetz requested and is pending for their store, as well as similar to what is also being sold at Duke and Duchess, and that the sales are authorized in the ward, we do not recommend a hearing, and happy to answer any other questions that anyone may have.
I just had a procedural questions, maybe for the law director. As a refresher, if we're not calling for, like a hearing is not necessary, do we need to vote on that?
You still need to vote on a motion. You just need a motion in a second that you not hold a hearing. You can make it, you can say it that way.
Okay. Is there any other comments from the administration on that before we do that? Would anyone on council like to make the motion?
I'll make a motion to not hold the hearing for this liquor license.
I'll second it.
All right, we have a motion and a second to not hold a hearing for the liquor license request. Any discussion or questions for the administration? All
Is
right.
that also a Sunday liquor license, or is it just Monday through Saturday? Are they allowed alcohol sales on Sundays, I guess my question.
I believe it is Sunday, the C1 is Sunday.
Yep.
We can look it up if you wanted to wait a moment.
I think that's correct as well.
And the C2?
The C2.
I would assume it would follow the same as like a grocery store.
It's C1 and C2, right? Yes, they do include Sunday sales.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thanks for looking that up. All right, we have a motion and a second, and the motion again is to not hold the hearing for the liquor license request for Max Convenience Stores LLC. Clerk, please call the roll.
Tracy Pletcher,
Yes.
Ted Roy,
Yes.
Nick Rubino,
Yes.
Jonathan Bolus.
Yes.
Christine Sippa,
Yes.
Jessica Epstein.
Yes.
All right, we have a vote of 6-0 to not hold the hearing for the liquor request. All right, moving on to item 9, reports of administrative officers. We'll start things off with Mayor Kilway.
Thank you very much. First of all, under our police and fire department update, Chief Bohan and Chief Underwood both asked me to publicly acknowledge and commend the outstanding efforts of the Summit County Emergency Communications Center personnel, as well as the police department and fire department personnel who responded to the tragic call this past Sunday morning. Their calm, professional dedication, and seamless teamwork were evident throughout the incident. Thanks to their coordinated response, they were able to bring resolution to a difficult situation without further incident. This was an isolated incident, and there's no ongoing danger to the public. And on behalf of the entire community, I want to express my sincere gratitude for their commitment to keeping Tallmadge safe and exemplifying the highest standards of service. I'd also like to highlight 2 upcoming events that the police department sponsors. The first one is Summer Fun at Saxon, which is under the leadership of Officer Dave Quillen. Officer Quillen includes other city departments, school personnel, and community partners to make this a great summer event each year. It's on Thursdays from 1 till 2:30 p.m. through the end of July. And also, Safety School will be August 4th through the 8th. And then it's that time of year again for the Summit County Fair, July 22nd to the 22nd to the 27th. They're indicating you can expect heavier than usual traffic and altered traffic patterns in the area of East Howe Road and North Avenue, especially during peak hours of the fair, such as before scheduled events and at closing time. Additional information for the Summit County Fair can be at their website, which is summitfair.com, and then they do have a special button you can just click on that says Fair, and it has all the information for you. Fair hours are Tuesday through Saturday from 12 noon until 11 p.m. and Sunday from 12 noon until 9 p.m. And there's also, this is important, there will be temporary no parking bans on Allendale Drive, Fox Ridge Way, and Green Valley Drive. The parking ban will be enforced by the Tallmadge Police Department, so please call the non-emergency number if you see vehicles parking on these streets. While it's posted, the no parking ban is in effect. And then the Tallmadge Circular is going to be coming to your mailbox soon. It should be delivered in the next few days. The PDF version is online at talmadgeohio.gov/circular. Yesterday, I had the opportunity to celebrate with Mary Engel at the Danbury. Ms. Engel celebrated her 100th birthday. She was amazing. She really was. It was so great to see her. And just everybody that was there. We're very fortunate to have the Danbury. They have such a nice community there, and they do a lot to celebrate. So it was a nice little event. Also of note, the Summit County Board of Elections has a new location at 1050 East Tallmadge Avenue. It's right next to the Bureau of Motor Vehicles and the Building Department and the Clerk of Courts. There will be a ribbon cutting ceremony and grand opening Tuesday, July 15th from 2 to 4 o'clock. And if you plan to attend, you must pre-register by contacting the Summit County Land Bank. And then my next after-hours with the mayor will be on July 24th from 4 to 6 o'clock. So that's the end of my report. If there's any questions, I'd be happy to take them at this time. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Next up, Director of Administration, Mr. Ignazito.
Good evening, everyone. Just one update this evening, and that is it's that time of the year for the budget. So next week, late next week, the timeline for the budget and the budget memo will be going out to members of the administration and council and all department leaders and managers to start working on their budget. So we'll also have the council working dates. I'll send you a message. I have some dates for the work session and then for potential meeting dates with the finance chair and personnel chairs like we did last year. So that's all I have this evening for my report, pending your questions.
Just a reminder for myself, we did set the date for the workshop, didn't we? Or do we need to do that at a later meeting?
If I were,
I believe that it's on your calendar
I think
as the
so, too. I
potential
thought-
date is already on the council calendar that you adopted earlier in the year.
Yep, I thought so too. I just didn't have it in front of me. Okay,
all right, that's all I have this evening. Thank you.
thanks very much. Moving on to our economic developer, Ms. Poole.
Good evening again. Just one update that I have to share. We do have the Crafty Steer ribbon cutting coming up at the end of July as the business works through the final details of being ready to open, so we look forward to that. They do have an existing store out in Copley, so we're glad that they chose Tallmadge for their second store, and we think it will be a great addition, not only to the location, but just for the city and for all of those who love the products that they've kind of kept alive from those of us who like to shop at West Point Market in the past. And it's just another exciting venture by the Steer family, a three-generation business owner in the community. So look forward to as many people who can come out and attend that with us as well. Thank you.
Thanks very much, and also thank you for your reminder, invitations, and outlook. We all really appreciate that.
My pleasure. Thank you.
All right, moving right along, our Director of Public Service, Mr. Rohr.
Yes, good evening. Just wanted to bring a couple of people up to speed here. So we did get the, remember a couple of months back, I said we were out of salt and we needed to order a summer fill. We did get the prices from ODOT. It went up $7.43 from last year, so we're paying $52.39 a ton. That's the salt dome as it is. It holds 3,400 tons, as you can see, and it's empty, so we need to order some this summer. So next meeting, I'll be coming to ask council for a reappropriation. Probably looking at 105,000 asking. So just, we need it. I mean, we can't start winter with what that is. I mean, we won't be able to solve the parking lot with that. So just heads up on that. Next, the zoning department. You can see there, the permits and then the code violations, 4817, which were property disrepair, followed by high grass at 13 for the month. Cemetery, you can see the numbers there. Just keep in mind, July 12th is a cemetery tour, which is being put on by the Tallmadge Historical Society, 6 p.m., Park at Donovan's, if you're interested in that. Parks and Rec, you can see the numbers there. Music tonight, the rain disappeared and the concert is going on over there. It's the Originals and the Brass. Next concert's the 17th, the FM Project. Summer camp night, late night party. That is not an overnight, keep that in mind. It starts at 6:30 at MACA, ends at the Rec Center. Rec Center is being closed for the annual cleaning, August 1st through the 3rd. That's what they do annually, so that just heads up on that. The parks, the Maca Park restroom's still ongoing, and this is a year-long project. It should be wrapping up July 25th, fingers crossed. New benches were installed at Howe Road Dog Park, and I would like to ask the public, when you're using that dog park, please be in mind, we have to mow it. So when we show up with the mowers, please leash your dog and exit that so we can mow it, because the alternative is high grass. So then ticks start. So you got to work with those mowers. I mean, they show up whenever, so you got to leash your dog. I mean, we could kick everybody out, but that's not what we want to do. Just be courteous to the mowers. That's all I'm asking. It seems to be a problem right now. Maca Pool, open. We're averaging about 506 visits daily. Lifeguard levels are at a total of 45, and everybody would like to say thank you to council administration. Keep in mind, we've had issues with lifeguards in the past. You guys have allocated us to go up to that number. That has helped. We have not had to close the pool or any section of the pool this year, and it's been a long time since we can boast that. And then the picture to the right is the storm drain painting, and keep in mind, this is part of the EPA mandate. We have to do education and also activities. And it also is, that's summer camp kids doing that, so it's also serves a dual purpose, so nice job there. Moving on to the street department, concrete maintenance and repair is completed, finally. The rain and the heat really slowed that down. Paving program is completed, almost. Keep in mind, almost, we had that water break on the circle, so we've got to go back out and fix that. The street department did some reconnaissance today. We had a sinkhole as well as a hump in that section they replaced, so we dug down and fixed the sinkhole. The hump just looks like the water separated the two layers of pavement, and that's what the hump was caused from. The 400 linear feet of stormwater cleaning, keep that number in mind when you look at what the utility department did on the sanitary side. Something interesting, North Avenue heat thermal expansion, though, that is actually caused by the heat. That's sidewalk and then the Devil Strip concrete section there. So keep in mind, the soil got saturated for over a month, and then all of a sudden we got blasted with heat. It wasn't gradual, it gets automatic heat. So that soil temperature, the water evaporated, and all of a sudden that concrete had problems expanding. Asphalt is a little flexible, concrete is not, and that's what those expansion joints are supposed to prevent. Obviously, those weren't cut deep enough or put in deep enough, but that's interesting. That's fixed, but interesting. Utility department, hydrant flushing is completed. We had one main break, that's the one on the circle, that's the picture there, you can see that's pretty deep, that's about 12 foot down. That water line, I'm gonna go with the heat was causing that soil to shrink. That water line was under immense pressure whenever they were cutting it. The saw got stuck, so anyone that's used to cutting wood and the wood binds, well, the pipes do the same thing, so that was really getting pushed down. And the only thing I could say is it was the heat, same way as that sidewalk is snapping. So, but keep in mind when I was saying about the linear foot of stormwater, storm sewer being cleaned, so look at the 6,000 feet of sanitary sewer being cleaned. Pretty impressive, a nice job. Interesting thing, the water tower has an internal mixer. What is that? So that's our water tower. Now it has a way to agitate the water, keep the water churning. There is a concept or a theory that it could get stale in there because the inlet pipe and the outlet pipe are at the same level. So sometimes you don't get all the draw down as you should. This keeps the water churning, and it should be better water at the end of the day. So, and that concludes my report unless there's any questions. Okay, great, thanks.
Any questions? Thank you very much for the report and to your team for all they do.
Thank you.
All right, next up, our Director of Finance, Ms. Kilbride.
Thank you. Everybody received the financial reports for June. Hard to believe we're already halfway through the fiscal year and starting the new budget for next year. Everything is still looking good. Our income tax is still kind of coming in right where we were budgeted for it too, so that is good. Some areas not coming in as we expected, and others kind of compensating for that. So that is good. We also saw some of the net profit tax start coming in as estimated payments for the next year. So hopefully that will start to also bounce back as we continue through the year. But the withholding seems to be staying pretty steady, and even with prior year collections, we're not seeing a huge decrease in that area, which is important since that's our largest source of income tax. I did post interest for the second quarter of the year. Interest rates continue to be high, so we are definitely reaping the benefits of that for the last couple of years. And that is coming in similar to the amounts we received last year. everyone should have received an email earlier this week notifying them that our audit report has been released by the Auditor of State's office, so that is now publicly available. It has been posted on the city's website, as well as my annual community report, which is a much smaller condensed version, meant for our citizens and businesses, and to have a quick snapshot of kind of where we hit financially this year. That is also has been posted on the city's website. We will be also doing a Facebook blog post about that next week to update the public and get something out through, usually the Rec Center's newsletter also puts that out. But that is on the financial report section of the Department of Finance's website. If anybody has residents that need printed copies, they can contact my office and I can print that and send that to them if that is something that they would need. That's the end of my report, unless anybody has any questions.
All right, thank you very much. Next up, our Director of Law, Ms. Raber.
Thank you. I'm very happy to report that we have completed going through the proof for the recodification. We sent that off to the codifier this week. And I want to thank very much all the department heads and people that helped very, very hard working on that project. Should be to you here in 2 to 4 months. So maybe we'll get lucky and it'll be sooner, but we're waiting for the codifier at this point. End of report.
All right, thank you very much. All right, moving along to reports of standing committees of Council of the Whole. We'll kick things off with our Planning and Zoning Committee. So I'll pass the mic to Councilwoman Pletcher.
Thank you. I'll call the Planning and Zoning Committee to order. This evening, we have 2 items on the agenda, both for second readings. The first one, ordinance 2025-59, Exhibit A, is set for public hearing on 7/24/25 at 7:01 p.m. Amending the zoning map, adding Appendix B.5, Neighborhood Center Overlay District, portion of Northeast Avenue of the Tallmadge Codified Ordinances. The sponsor is Mayor Kilway. Does anybody have any comments or questions?
Ms. Pletcher? Yes, I think Helene Hussing is going to come up and give a nice presentation just to give you a better overview of what this neighborhood center overlay is, and she'll be able to answer any questions that you have.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. It's always my pleasure to present. So, thank you for allowing me to present on this ordinance. This is about the zoning tool. This is about the neighborhood center overlay. You may recall we have utilized this and explained this zoning tool for West Avenue and portions of Northwest Avenue as well. What's different this time is that you're not reviewing the text, the zoning text that goes along with it. You're just mapping it onto portions of Northeast Avenue. So that's the proposal. There's no change to the established standards or the guidebook, but it does serve as the general development plan that is listed in your ordinance. For those that don't fully comprehend the zoning tool, I did want to just do a quick refresher and give you a quick look on the purpose and intent again of the neighborhood center overlay, and that I took portions of what I presented at the community meeting as well as the Planning and Zoning Commission meeting. So this is intentionally, this neighborhood center overlay is intentionally bringing together a mix of uses, perhaps small shops, local services, maybe some housing opportunities, in close proximity to established neighborhood residential center or residential neighborhoods, and as well as the circle, some of which are already existing on Northeast Avenue. This isn't about a large-scale commercial development. This is not about a large-scale residential development. It's about creating convenient and accessible amenities within our community's fabric. A core goal here is to foster a pedestrian-friendly environment. This means thinking about things like sidewalk, crosswalks, and inviting public spaces. Ensuring that any new development or renovation within this district contributes to a cohesive look. And it's also that buildings complement each other and it turns into a unified look. Importantly, this overlay is intended as a transition area. It's a way to thoughtfully connect our quieter residential areas with our more general commercial zones, and of course our city circle, creating a smoother and more integrated flow throughout our city. Ultimately, the aim is to encourage a vibrant community, a vibrant street-level activity, lively storefronts, perhaps some outdoor seating, engaging public spaces that draw people in, and making the area feel more dynamic. Think of it like baking a cake. So the cake is the foundation. The cake is the current zoning that's in place. It already defines broad types of businesses and general uses allowed on the property. This remains. What the neighborhood center overlay does, it adds a layer on top, like the frosting. This frosting introduces some guidelines, additional uses, and design elements that are already all geared towards creating that vibrant walking neighborhood. It is already defined in the guidebook as well as in the zoning code. The key takeaway, though, is that the zoning remains in place. It stays the same. The overlay adds specific requirements and also opens up potential new opportunities. And if you're like me, and I've said it before, cake always tastes better with better frosting. So, building on this cake and frosting analogy, the slide highlights the new types of businesses and uses that come with this overlay and is specific for this area, in addition to what the existing zoning already allows. All these uses are consumer-based and included with integrated residential options. It is truly for a pedestrian-friendly environment. The overlay permits various types of dwelling units, which is central to the vision of a true work, live, play neighborhood. Why is the residential component important? It creates a built-in customer. It activates a streetscape. It completes the neighborhood. It addresses existing conditions that are there on Northeast Avenue. This expansion of permitted uses, especially the intentional inclusion of residential option, is a critical element in transforming Northeast Avenue and even keeping it the way it is into a more dynamic, walkable, and livable area. So this is the map, which you have already received in the staff report. It's also posted online in the staff report. The dotted area is the proposed area. It starts at the circle and runs to Kent Drive. It does not include our municipal buildings nor the Village of Town Center. Village of Town Center has been approved as a conditionally permitted use, so a lot of regulations are attached to that location, therefore it was not included in this. It wasn't an arbitrary decision. As you can see, most of the area that is dotted and outlined is already very similar to a neighborhood center overlay. So Northeast Avenue is ideal for the neighborhood center overlay due to the natural fit for mixed-use, pedestrian-friendly development and existing commercial and residential activity. Historically, the mixed use has been working for a long time, and we are proposing to embrace and build upon it for the future. By ending at Kent Drive, we are proposing to exclude the existing thriving industrial businesses in place. But as you may notice, the sidewalks continue providing access to the park system, Community Drive, and Freedom Trail. This provides a connectivity for our residents, yet recognizes the great value the existing industrial zone provides to the city. The selection of these parcels is really about building on existing strengths, addressing current complexities, and strategically positioning these areas to become the vibrant, interconnected neighborhood center. Notice the existing sidewalks. The development pattern that exists reflects the development standards of the neighborhood center overlay. Here's a map that shows the zoning, so you can kind of see it's commercial C3, general commercial, some industrial, and then a portion is residential R4. Beyond its direct benefits, the neighborhood center overlay strongly aligns with the city's 2025 strategic priorities as introduced by Mayor Kellaway. It directly supports growing economic opportunity, constructs connected neighborhoods, and promotes a vibrant community. The key development standards that are for this overlay, again, this application is not introducing any development, but rather providing a tool to ensure that new development and expanded renovations contribute to the kind of vibrant district we've been discussing. The overarching principle here is neighborhood scale mixed development, street-oriented buildings, rear and side parking as preferred, and front parking when pedestrian walkways are not impeded. So what happens if there's two overlays? In this map, you can see the pink graded area and then the dotted lines. Again, the dotted area is the proposed overlay district. The pink area is a design control overlay. So just like the cake again, we're back to that cake. I really want cake, if you're wondering. But the cake is the zoning, the base zoning. The frosting is the first overlay. Secondary frosting or sprinkles, as this illustration shows, is that third overlay. So how do the regulations work? The overlay district would be the defining guideline, but when there is a conflict, then the strongest, the more detailed or restrictive regulation applies. This timeline shows the journey of this application. A public hearing, as was mentioned, is before you in 2 weeks. And I hope that this explanation kind of gives you a good background of it, that it has, that I explained it well enough, and that you agree that it would be a great fit for Northeast Avenue. That ends my presentation. I'm here if you have questions.
Thank you. Anybody have any questions? I had a couple, actually.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you for your presentation. I really appreciate it. The first one I had was, with the proposal, would there be any risk to displacing any existing commercial businesses with the overlay? Given like what's in the plan, like would there ever be a scenario where there would be, a mixed use, residential / commercial structure next to an existing commercial business, and that would either, displace their business or risk like, their growth or anything in that area? I'm just thinking about in that overlay mapping, what could be the adverse effects of that to our existing businesses?
So if I understand correctly, you're asking if an existing use leaves and...
No, if they don't leave. If they're planning to just maintain where they are, what would be the adverse effects of that in the overlay?
I actually don't see an adverse effect because the use is there. They are almost exactly what a neighborhood center overlay is. So a lot of the uses on Northeast Avenue are currently legal non-conforming uses, in other words, grandfathered in. Most of them are mixed. They run their business out of their home, like first floor is business, upstairs is residential. That's what we're looking for, that type of a development. So I do not see an adverse effect.
Okay. And then the other question I had, similar theme, was just around, like, in terms of the land zone commercially, if there is residential overlaid on top of that in that area specifically, would you see any adverse impacts to like income taxes or, businesses that could bring in employees to the city, and grow?
So if a commercial entity is replaced by residential, is
Right.
that your question? So of course, there's going to be some effect to the impact on income tax. However, as I mentioned, bringing residential into as already is happening, brings more people into the commercial area. And as an administration, I believe that we are looking for more commercial use, and we would push for more commercial use in this area. But we'd like to see the mix.
Okay. And
If I could just add on to that, just to keep in mind that, as was already stated, that this area is primarily already commercial, so it's been zoned commercial, and the reality is that there's still a lot of residential uses that are grandfathered in, so it's already got the mixed use feel. So again, it's already virtually what we're talking about. This just gives people the ability to, when they are expanding or if they're renovating, or if there's a vacancy for a period of time, they can actually be in compliance with the zoning code by having it be a business on the bottom and a residential up top, that sort of thing.
Okay. And then I guess one more question on that. With the housing opportunities, is there a target in terms of like I know when we were talking about West Avenue, right? We were talking about, I think the comment was made at some point, like what we were targeting for, like this place could charge X amount for rent, and we're looking at like this demographic or this type of mixed use. Like, is there any conceptual targets for like what that would actually look like?
So again, this is a zoning tool, and if a developer wanted to come in, it would probably be addressed at that time, what would be put in there. Obviously, we're asking for quite extensive development standards, design standards. I would think that if you're building any type of development, which there's not a lot of room to build anything, but if you would ask the developer to really pick up their game and put in, make a great investment, they would not be charging any low rent or anything to be in there. So that would be my opinion on that, but I'm sure others could probably step in as well to make comments.
Okay. Thank you.
Ms. Hussing,
Yes.
is there like the West Avenue overlay has it was the red line, the setback from the center of West Avenue. Is there something similar for this?
There is not, because that really defies the whole purpose of having a pedestrian-friendly neighborhood center. These lots are not similar to what's on West Avenue. West Avenue has deep lots. These appear to be deep, but I think the little video kind of showed you where the principal building is located close to the road, and that's what we want. So if we have a setback, it defies that whole purpose of doing a pedestrian height, vibrant walking community.
Would that possibly open the door to, let's say, taking some of that commercial property or industrial property and a developer choosing to just make it all residential, and then we lose that commercial and industrial use to complete residential use?
Well, I can't foresee the future. I don't really have a good answer for that one. If anybody wants to
Because
step in on that one.
wouldn't this take the control away from council to be able to make those judgment calls based on zoning requests for specific projects versus the broad overlay, seeing as this land, like you said, is more compact than West Avenue?
I think the point of selecting these parcels was, as Law Director Raber mentioned, the existing uses here were originally residential. Then the city, way back when, rezoned it to commercial. The residential use remained, and it turned into more of a mixed bag, a mixed residential and commercial. And I think what we're trying to do is trying to focus more on keeping that instead of making it all commercial by adding the residential, then more people have access to that commercial instead of driving in, no parking. We're gonna take a risk, but, these houses are in good condition. If somebody buys them all and tears them all down, they would have to come to the city first to come up with, have a development plan. And it would go before planning and zoning. They're usually, they're public meetings, people can come and speak. I don't think it's an end-all.
The current zoning of those residential lots, are those like a mix of R3, R4 right
They
now?
are not, they are commercial. So
The grandfathered portion, like.
exactly.
Yeah,
So all the ones on the southern part of Northeast Avenue, probably, I would say probably 80%, if not 90%, are mixed, residential, commercial. The orange color is C3, general commercial.
but before it was rezoned as C3, what would that lot have been considered?
I'm thinking it was probably residential, I don't know.
Okay. But it would have probably been around the R3, R4 range for that
I don't
size
think
lot?
they had that type of zoning at
Okay.
that time. It had a different designation, but it was residential, the way it was developed. Those homes mostly are on the historic side. So, 100 years ago, I don't think we had the zoning in place.
Thank you.
That was going to be my next question is how many, or do you know approximately how many of those homes in that area would be on the historic list? And they would have additional, if, it wouldn't be that easy to come in and tear some of those down and completely demolish
Correct.
it if they're historical.
Correct. I
Do
do
you know
not
how many
have an
there are?
exact number. An audit was just done, and we're going to be going through the audit process. But most of them are over 100 years old.
And so for those specific ones, and they're probably scattered throughout, then you couldn't just come and demolish them?
Oh.
Or could you?
No. If they're on the recognized heritage structure, you can't just demolish them. You have to get them removed off the historic list. So if,
Most of these homes here.
they are, they're the mixed residential, commercial, and I do believe most of them are. They're historic. They have not been added to the list. I think there's probably 2 or 3 that are currently on the list. But after this audit, we'll see if any more will be added.
And they're, so in that specific section, they're not conforming right now, but with this overlay, they would be conforming.
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
And being that it's been a successful neighborhood, it makes sense to add this neighborhood center overlay.
Were any other areas explored when mapping this section out?
Explored for,
When you were determining the map here and actually drawing the map with the yellow lines, did anything extend beyond this section here onto other spindles of the circle? I know obviously we've already done a few others on West Avenue and things, but are there any other areas that were left off?
so
I know it was
I think
very
our-
methodical.
Our administration's focus was to do West Avenue, the small section on Southwest Avenue, or is that Southwest? No, Southwest, right? And then Northwest and Northeast and end it there. And then, because we have other overlays that we'll be introducing, employment opportunity overlay, another, we want to introduce some other overlays, other tools. So this was really it, and we decided to focus on these because the uses were already so similar to the neighborhood center overlay.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions, comments? Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Hussing.
Okay, hearing no other comments, we'll move this on to third reading, and there is a public hearing scheduled on 7/24/25 at 7:01 PM. Okay, the second item this evening is ordinance 2025-62. It is scheduled for public hearing on 7/24/25 at 7:05 PM, extending the moratorium on acceptance of any zoning application for vape and/or smoke establishments or shops within the city of Tallmadge and providing for immediate enactment. Any comments from council or administration?
No, not too much, just that, we do have that public hearing in 2 weeks, and I know we're waiting for some determinations to come out down at the state level. That's why we were asking for this extension on the moratorium. So we'll just give it the next reading, and we'll discuss it some more in 2 weeks. Thank you.
Anybody else? Okay, leave it on the agenda, and it is scheduled for public hearing on 7/24/25 at 7:05 PM. Okay, is there any other comments or questions regarding planning or zoning? Okay, hearing none, I'll close committee.
Thank you very much. We'll move on to our Finance Committee this evening. We'll open committee with Councilwoman Sipa.
Thank you. Finance Committee deals with budget, appropriations, reappropriations, bonds, franchises, investments, and expenditures. We are in second reading of the following ordinance. Ordinance 2025-60, authorizing the mayor to contract with Insight Advisory Group LLC for economic development consulting services without competitive bidding, appropriating the necessary funds, and providing for immediate enactment. Sponsor is Mayor Kilway. Mayor Kilway.
Yes, thank you very much. I just kind of want to give a little bit more of an overview on this real quick. As you know, economic development was a consistent and significant topic during my campaign, and I've always stressed its critical role in financing the essential services that we provide for our community. For the past year and a half, Insight Advisory Consultants have proven to be a fantastic asset to our city's economic development efforts. As promised, and with council's help, we have now fulfilled our commitment to enhance our internal capacity with the addition of Samantha Poole as our full-time economic developer. This strategic move aligns perfectly with our recently adopted strategic plan, which was shaped by extensive public participation, and is specifically our strategic priority number 2, which is growing economic opportunity. It explicitly calls for enhancing the city's economic development team by both hiring an economic developer, now complete with Samantha's arrival, and continuing our partnership with Insight. In addition, just about every other department within our city government utilizes specialized consulting services for unique challenges. The Office of Economic Development requires access to the same caliber of expert support. Insight's vast institutional knowledge on broad resources can serve as an indispensable asset for our new economic developer. Therefore, to maintain this valuable collaboration and to further advance our economic development goals, I am requesting Council's approval to renew our contract with Insight Advisory Consultants. This will equip Ms. Poole with the necessary resources and specialized support needed to truly excel in her role and drive our economic future forward successfully. By allowing her to leverage the proven expertise and extensive resources of the consultant, we are not undermining the in-house position, rather we are strengthening it and maximizing its potential. I'm respectfully requesting third reading adoption at the next council meeting. With us today, we do have Sean Joyce, President of Insight Advisory Consultants, and he's prepared to discuss the challenges that we are expected to experience with the changes at the state and federal levels and its current funding and its effects on funding to our municipalities. So if you would allow me to let Mr. Joyce come to the podium and discuss a little bit.
Hi, everybody. Thanks for having us here. I don't have any cake with me, but she did a great job explaining that. Well, obviously, we really enjoyed working with the city of Tallmadge. It's such a great city, great community, and has so much to offer. And, I would say we spent our last 2 years here really stabilizing economic development, re-engaging the business community, evaluating what assets are in need of strategy, and working with the team to, plan and identify opportunities like Helena, shared so greatly with her presentation, the overlay districts we've talked about. And it's really, maybe I will use a baking thing, kind of like a trifold, right? Economic development. You really got to start and stabilize that bottom, that base, and that's what the efforts really have been. And even on the business retention strategy, which, there's a lot of communities overlook that. It's one of those things, we'll get to it and get in front of the businesses. But even right now as we speak, there are currently 10 active expansion and retention projects with businesses here in Tallmadge. So, and when I say retention, that means that there are businesses that are in need of expansion that are looking in other places, including trying to find a spot to stay here in Tallmadge. So, we're working directly with those companies, and outside of this meeting, if you want a shared list of who that is, we'd be happy to do that. But that's 600 jobs we're talking about, and it's important work. As I've said before, you can look at national statistics everywhere in economic development. More than 80% of new jobs come from existing businesses in the community. So you hear a lot about chasing the next big Intel, which those help, don't get me wrong. But those existing businesses really need help, and they have opportunity, especially right now. We all know the job force, workforce issues, and those are holding a lot of companies back from growing. And also things like equipment updates, technology, AI, all those opportunities that are in need to really help our business make it to the next stage. So we're so thankful to be working with Samantha. She's great. Good job hiring her. But we think we can be really supportive with her to take us to the next level. So we've helped kind of lay down the table stakes, like these development opportunities. And so what's next? Well, now we got to execute. And the benefit that comes with our group is we have a vast network of folks to reach out to, and we're constantly advertising and marketing Tallmadge. I was just in Las Vegas for one of the largest developer conferences in the country, 20,000 people, and we're talking about Tallmadge. We had literature talking to national chains as we're looking at trying to bring in these mixed-use opportunities with these developers. And of course, you've probably watched the news and seen what's happening here in the state with some of the plans on the operating budget that's been approved, trying to get through veto approval now. But property tax reform is a big topic. Obviously, the state flat tax rate, there's talks of wanting to get that down to zero, right? Property tax is the same. So it's going to become, there's a lot of challenges coming. It's going to be there's really a lot of planning and contingencies that need to be thought about as things keep progressing. But the opportunities that are coming within state funds and others to fill that gap are competitive. And the benefit with our group is we have reach to get in those rooms that maybe others can't. We're very engaged with the regional economic development groups. I'm on the board for the Right Sites Council of Team NEO. My boss is actually the chair of Team NEO right now. We work to help hire the new CEO there, but other economic development firms across the state. And with our resources behind us, our own development company, we have vast networks of investors and prospectors that are looking for properties and opportunities, including the very one we're working with on West Avenue, on this mixed-use development, who has been very patient to wait and try to be as strategic as he can with what he wants to do there with the plans of Tallmadge, which is great. I will tell you, he had the opportunity to sell off to the quickest bidder to something that might not have benefited the city as much as this development he's working on is going to. So the next level really is helping Samantha, helping the city, helping you all and the community, be on the forefront of opportunity and to be the voice and advocate for you in those rooms and bring in the attention we're going to need to make this overlay district and these other opportunities come to fruition. And, we talked about residential housing. Workforce housing is huge. It's a huge issue. It's a huge challenge, and there's a lot coming for support to encourage more and more of that, that construction. And every business that wants to move into town, they're going to be looking for what housing is available to bring workforce. So there's a lot of layers that we want to help tie together. We think we can be helpful there. We've been part of the success of those opportunities, whether it's creating development plans, working with planning and zoning, working on incentive programs, tapping some of those state resources to help with brownfield development, demolition, infrastructure, whatever it is. That's what we'd like to do in this next stage. So we appreciate it.
Thank you. Does anyone have any questions for Mr. Joyce?
Good.
First off, I just want to say thank you to Insight, and thank you for being here and for your presentation this evening. I just wanted to go through, in reviewing kind of your Insight's accomplishments in different communities around us, right? Mm-hmm. So I heard about your accomplishments in Boston Heights with the brownfield renovation, mm-hmm. and then in my hometown in New Franklin, the water sewer line that you're helping them with there. I was just wanted to ask, over the past few years, are there specific initiatives in Tallmadge that stand out to you? You would say, as your top 3 to 5, that would be your most, the top initiatives that you'd say were, would be on par with those directions in terms of what are we most asking you to support over the last 3 years?
Yeah.
What stands out to you as your top 3?
Well, obviously, trying to bring resources into these businesses that have opportunities, right? We know jobs create revenue, and the worst thing to do is lose those jobs too. So, working to follow through on helping those businesses to stay here and grow here, and that we already know we're working on, and working with Samantha to bring in resources to do that. Whether it's grants for equipment, workforce training dollars, which is another big part of the budget that's being approved in Columbus, those types. So tapping those resources and getting those in front of these businesses so they can seek the help they need. A lot of them don't even know they exist. The overlay development district work, of course. West Avenue, which we were here, I guess the end of last year already. It's crazy, half a year gone already. Has huge potential. And we feel like we're working with the developer now to kind of, our job, as I see it, is when we're working with developers and businesses, is trying to make sure that we're being strategic and get them on board with the strategy of the city. As you mentioned, talking about, the overlay that was just presented, the concerns of a developer coming in and doing something you don't really want. And, our job is to help guide to make sure, look, the strategy that we put in place on West Avenue, for instance, is going to be executed in that form, and the reason why we did it is going to come to fruition. So whether it's bringing in infrastructure dollars, get the development going, whether it's, Department of Transportation dollars to help put a road that might need to be in there, signalization changes. We work with the busing system, public transportation. Actually, years ago, when we were looking at another project there, I had the busing system ready to put more stops, more trips through West Avenue because of what might be coming. So there's a lot of different layers. So our focus would be to, again, be a resource with Samantha and the mayor and the rest of the team to bring those resources to execute those plans. So those overlay development areas.
Mr. President, if I could refresh everyone's memory, I don't have the minutes pulled up in front of me, nor do I have Samantha's report. But if you recall, during last meeting's economic development report, Samantha called out 3 to 5 businesses, 3 specifically, that come to mind were StoreTech, Agrochem, and Parsons Concrete. Those were all grants or job programs that Insight worked on and received grants or money for job programs that the Insight team brought in. Those were all discussed just 2 weeks ago. There are other programs that we can send to you, send to the council members, but those are concrete examples that we just discussed 2 weeks ago of the type of things that Insight initiated several months ago. Several people have heard me say this in the past. Government, as we all know, works slowly, it works incrementally, and business development, economic development, I should say, is a slow incremental process until it reaches a tipping point, and then it's not. So it takes a while for these things to happen. So those projects that Ms. Poole mentioned last meeting started 12 to 18 months ago and just came recently to fruition and were recognized by the Portage County Development Board for the work that was done and for those businesses to locate, stay, and grow in Tallmadge, but in the Tallmadge Annex, but in the annexed area in town, but are within our city limits. So, thank you.
Well, thanks for that.
Thank you.
I would say the last point on development is also making sure that the ancillary benefits that come from development actually occur. So using West Avenue as an example, making sure that the leadership of Giant Eagle, the general manager running Giant Eagle location there knows what's coming and how does that impact their plans, right? If you have more residential units across the street from Giant Eagle, they should know about it and be planning on, might tip them into investing into a market district or putting more improvements in their space. You've got, Petit's over there as well. We should be engaging them into the plans for whatever green space improvements we're going to do. And, there's opportunities to wrap the other businesses into what's going to happen in that area. And that's the other part of the strategy. We've got to make sure we execute because you want that multiplier. And then the last point, so you asked for 3, sorry.
Oh,
The last one would be the state capital budget's coming up next spring, and the expectation, I shouldn't say it, but our expectation is it's going to be a robust one. So, we want to make sure we're lining up projects next month. In August, we should be lining up projects. We want to go ahead and make a run to get some funding in the state bill next spring.
Thank you.
I know you brought up the overlay and your work on that. What percentage, roughly, ballpark, would you say was Insight's work on that overlay versus our own, like, planning and zoning or administration?
I would say, we had a lot of meetings, right, going through that plan, how to align that to, one, make it make sense, and considering the neighborhood around it, and again, the businesses, what you would all be expecting. So it's hard to put in a percentage. It just felt like it's almost 50-50, We rely on the team to handle kind of the legally in writing guidance, obviously the history of what's been there before, what the rules have been before, what the changes have been. Obviously, we want to know what the mayor wants there, the strategy. So it really was meeting after meeting, and of course bringing in ideas and concepts with a potential developer, making sure that property doesn't go anywhere, that wouldn't be available to do a development like this. So it was really a constant kind of piece of work. So
Yeah.
I don't know if that helped you, but it was,
Ms. Marie Rubino, it was a true collaboration between city administration, all the departments within the city, and Insight. We could not have done it without them. So it was a true collaboration.
I'd like to request for our July 24th session that an executive session prior to the vote I'd really like to hear more in-depth details, maybe things that you can't share as publicly due to conflicting projects that are upcoming or that you're talking to, just to get a better idea of over the past, has it been about 3 years that you've been with the city?
2.
2? What Insight has done and what is in the works, both with the developers? I know you mentioned that you guys have been talking to somebody on West Avenue, et cetera. What is in the works? You know, I think that informing council as a whole together, we're all hearing the same information, and getting that would probably be beneficial.
So, Mr. Rubino, there's only certain reasons that the Ohio Revised Code allows us to go into executive session, and what you're saying probably doesn't fall within that. So you're welcome to have discussion with the administration before that meeting, and I'm sure they'd be happy to meet with you with regard to that.
Can we
But
talk about future development plans and who we're talking to on the floor then?
I believe that the person that was interested actually came and presented as part of the process that we had as an open meeting before. They have not presented a formal plan to date, but they had a general plan that they had already.
Right, we had a special work session between council and planning and zoning, if you remember last year about that project. So we're not hiding anything, okay?
No,
Yeah.
I'm not saying that you're
yeah,
hiding anything.
And just another,
I'm just trying to be as well-informed to make
Right.
sure everybody's on the same page.
and we do have, you know,
just
a
to
list
add-
of the,
I think what would be helpful, Joe had mentioned, some of those very tangible items that you have achieved, and Samantha has given some really good examples. It's very tangible and easy to understand. One business got $50,000 grant, and it transformed into 10 jobs, 10 additional jobs in that business, you know, that was growing.
Yeah.
And that was, I believe that was Glazing Systems, so that wasn't one that you had mentioned, but it was one that I had spoken to individually as well. But like 10 jobs in a business that continues to support our schools and support our city through tax revenue. If you can provide those specific examples and the details of what those grants were and how you were involved, that would be really helpful. to
Yeah,
us.
maybe
Yeah.
we could work on a way to do that discreetly.
Right.
And the challenge with the businesses, we're working on trying to do expansion and, you know, get them grants in a public forum. A lot of them don't want to
Yeah,
be shared.
even if you
know.
submit to us, you know, the chief did that with the alarm thing, business A.
Okay,
I don't necessarily, it doesn't matter to me the name of the business.
Like if it's
Okay.
redacted
Privacy.
to redact that specific information.
Oh, yeah, we could do that real easy, I mean, obviously. Yeah,
and that's actually another key point about having, working with a consultant instead, along with a full-time economic developer, is the consultants can then have that confidentiality with some of their, with their customers and with their potential, you know, business partners that would come into the city. They can maintain that confidentiality that would be public knowledge, you know, would have to be public record for us in the administration. So that's just another reason why using consultants is a great asset, especially in economic development. So they can have those in-depth conversations and hold that confidentiality with those partners that they have. So,
Would that not be a reason to possibly
because they can't share
do
it
an
with us.
executive session?
They can't share it with us.
Oh, they don't tell you guys
Due to
either?
the sunshine laws.
Right.
Is what we're speaking.
Well,
Right.
yeah. I mean, certain ways we could share it, but
There's certain things.
manners.
there's certain
Right.
manners to do it, yeah. So we
So,
Yeah.
do.
yeah, I think just on this point, we've all had there's been various discussions. I know Ms. Epstein and I had a good meeting earlier. You know, we appreciate like the open door policy the administration has and all these topics. I think it's the fact that now that I'm thinking through this, you know, it's a good idea to hold a session so that all of council can discuss it. I think there's just communication gaps at the end of the day. I truly feel that way because all of us hear different things. We all have different siloed conversations. Obviously, no more than 3 of us can be in a room at once. So, and then, you know, it's like things get lost in translation. And then everyone just looking at the path forward, right? So, like the statement of work is through December, you know, going back 2 years ago. Again, we're trying to be good stewards of our constituents, and we're just asking these questions. I don't think anybody's questioning here, like these tangible items. We know they exist. I think there's just a barrier in what exactly those are over like we just talked about the last 2 years. But then looking forward, right? What's the plan? So we get to December 31st, right? We're coming in budget season. So are we talking about involvement over the next 2-3 years? What does that look like? I think that is absolutely grounds for an executive session. I think all of you have questions, so I would support, and I think it's pretty much unanimous, that we set an executive session for the 24th.
Mr. Bolas, the executive session has to be one of the permitted reasons, and a contract and an ordinance in front of you is not one of the permitted reasons to go into an executive session.
Okay, because of Ohio Revised Code, you're saying that we're not allowed to discuss as a council as a whole in executive session to enter into a contract?
Not this type. There's other, like if we're doing purchase real estate, there's certain other things, but a contract for a contractor for economic development, that doesn't fall there. Now, if we want to go into an executive session to discuss there's very limited things that you can do for economic development, but that's typically reserved for if you were to offer an incentive and you're talking about numbers, that's the normal framework for that, not something that's a potential plan that's going to go through this appropriate steps at planning and zoning and then in front of city council. So I'm going to have to.
Can you send council, like, where it says, like, in the Ohio Revised Code, like, what that
Sure.
list is? And again, I'm just.
Sure. It's in the Sunshine Law, and it's also in our rules of council, what you're allowed to go into executive session for. So we follow the Ohio Revised Code, so I will be happy to forward that
And
to everybody.
I think it would just be helpful, but again, I'm just trying to think through your proposal live here and get us the answers we need before next reading. And I honestly don't know how to do that unless, like, we go in 3 at a time.
Yeah,
And, you know, take time out of your day as a working employee, you know, between our working hours of City Hall, you know, like, I still just trying to arrange time for all of us to get together and, again, speak in little silos and not see the big picture of, like, you know, like, all of us being here on the same page. I think that's the theme we're talking about here.
Yeah, I
Well,
just think
I
it'd be
think if I could-
extremely helpful to get very specific and for us all to hear the same information.
So the mechanism for that is here
Right now.
at the meeting. And so there may be some things that are held confidential, but some things that are already in the past are probably not. So if you're not prepared to discuss that now, we can, you know, have you come back potentially on the 26th.
Yeah, so
The 24th.
24th, sorry.
24th, yeah. So I think we can genericize, like, some of the company information. I think if the mayor and staff are fine with that, that's not an issue, and I think we could probably get you what you want without crossing over any confidentiality
Yeah, no,
issues.
yeah, and I think.
So we'd be happy to be happy to be ready to do that next meeting.
Okay, no, I really appreciate that. And again, this is really healthy conversation and dialogue. It's just making sure, you know, on topics of economic development and the, you know, the future look and feel of our city, like we should all have the same information to make an informed decision.
And I would also offer, if in the meantime, there's anything else you want to see that we haven't talked about, then we can make sure we're including all the answers to the questions you need.
I think another one that would be helpful is just looking at the 2026 forecast, you know, and potential, you know, future statements of work, specifically in the next 12 to 24 months. I think that would be helpful as we come into budget season because, again, we're looking at, like, chunks of hours at this point for very specific initiatives. So if you see, you know, whether the next statement of work, if one is forthcoming, that we just have a good idea of, like, the description of the services, because I think that would also play into, like, our budget workshop.
Right.
Yeah, I think something just like Mr. Bolas's point, something, you know, things very specific within your legal capability of past work, accomplishments, what our investment as a city in Insight has provided us as a ROI, and then, like Mr. Bolas said, a forecast of what your very specific plans are in the future, whether that be through this appropriation or when the budget comes around here in the budget workshop, the next one, so we can see what we're spending our money on.
Yeah. No problem.
Appreciate you fielding our questions.
no
That goes to
I've
the
got
administration as well. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Another question, diving into some of the specifics that you've already talked about here. So you had mentioned, networking and a lot of the benefits there, going to Las Vegas and being in front of a lot of people. I believe that's been at least a couple of months longer since that.
That was in May.
In May? Okay. So what are next steps after a conference like that for you? And how are you working with Ms. Poole on something like that?
Yeah, so, the next steps, I've already begun some follow-up there. And, looking at what interest they have in coming here as far as like seeing Tallmadge. Like we gave them a spec sheet, everything, like a one-page back and front marketing piece for Tallmadge. Also talked about, these development opportunities and what's happening that's going to allow for more investment in the Tallmadge. So, this is new, so a lot of developers might not even know yet that Tallmadge has made these changes, right? So we're talking about those things. So for us, we've been following up to see what the next steps with them are and their interest level, so we can engage in a deeper way. And then part of that was also in line with the developer of West Avenue, who was also out there. So we worked with them as well to start getting interest into what they would like to do, especially because of, we all want a strong retail business use over there as well. So that's is following up on those connections, which we've started already. And as those plans advance, in this particular situation on that development, engaging them in a deeper way once we know that the developer is kind of in the right place on their initial engineering, so.
It sounds like a couple of things have to align.
Oh, right.
And I know that those things take time. Have there been any conversations that have emerged that you feel like there is strong potential there? Or is this
Yes.
not enough time to really assess that yet?
No, there's definitely, even before going out there, we had some very encouraging interest with some detailed discussions of what they would like to do with an opportunity on West Avenue. So there is some very promising, already initial kind of strong interest, if I could put it that way.
Okay.
It's just a matter of once we know kind of how that whole plan in this situation fits and where that design is going to end up, then we'll figure out how they fit into that. So it is a long process. But it's we go from first introduction, especially some of those groups, chains, whatever in Vegas didn't know where Tallmadge was. So we've gotten past that part. Now it's like, okay, let's engage even deeper. The great thing about being in Ohio is Ohio is very attractive to business development right now because of all the incentive opportunities, all the resources we have. The workforce housing is always a question. I say workforce housing, it's houses for people that they want to hire are going to live in. So those are all the questions. Like one of the questions I got, I was part of a discussion for the county, the whole county, with a company coming from Italy that wants to bring about 1,200 jobs and put their headquarters in Summit County, which is another thing we're pursuing. Their question was, when's the last time you built a high school in Summit County, right? So that's the level of thinking with the workforce issue that companies are looking at when they want to put their flag somewhere. So it's addressing all those types of things and working with the county, right, on a cohesive, message that's also promoting Tallmadge. So we don't make sure it's not just us promoting Tallmadge, but it's the county, it's Columbus, it's Team Neo, right? Team Neo's goal is to bring companies and businesses into Northeast Ohio, which includes Tallmadge. So it's aligning all those things.
And as you can see, partnering with a reputable firm like Insight really enhances the city's credibility in the eyes of potential investors and businesses. So I think that's really the key as to why we need to partner with a reputable economic development firm, and Insight definitely has that, enhanced reputation, and I think is a great asset to our team as a whole.
I mean, Katie's responsible for bringing a very large conference to Akron. So that's a level of reach, a national conference here into Summit County. So, we want to use those resources here.
No.
Yep.
I just had a question, Mr. Avery. In the current council Rule 9 on executive sessions, would this fall, I would like to think like this would either fall into two categories. The Rule 2, Item 2 under Rule 9, development of real property, or Item 7, any other purpose authorized pursuant to Ohio Sunshine Laws?
So the real property thing is when we're actually discussing the acquisition or sale of real property, meaning a physical piece of property. And so that's backed up by the Ohio Revised Code for that interpretation. And then the Ohio Revised Code also says that, again, there are some times where you can go into an executive session for economic development purposes when you're talking about whether or not to give certain economic development incentives. So I would have to speak to them to know if that is something that they need to discuss, and we would need to go into that. But that's typically more when the city is determining whether or not to make that determination. So
the item
I'm happy to continue to look into this issue. You don't have to set an executive session tonight. We can look at it, but I'm telling you right now that I do not believe that you will be able to hold an executive session on this issue.
Okay. And the last
But I
thing
will be happy to further explore it.
I appreciate it. And the last thing I was going to say was when we're talking about like specific property, if we just look at the statement of work and we could make the executive session specifically about the addresses listed in the statement of work.
So again, that's not quite how that's actually interpreted in the Ohio Revised Code. So I will look into it further, but I don't think that's going to work.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you.
All right, thank you.
There you go.
Okay, any other additional questions? We have nothing else on the agenda for tonight in finance. Does anybody have any additional items? Hearing none, I close Finance Committee.
Thanks very much. We'll move on to our Personnel Committee. I will pass the mic back to Councilwoman Siba.
Thank you. I call Personnel to order. The Personnel Committee deals with personnel, labor relations, insurance claims, rules of council, and state statutes. We are in third reading again of the following ordinances. Ordinance 2024-75, authorizing the mayor to enter into an agreement with the International Association of Firefighters, Local 2764, and providing for immediate enactment. Sponsor is Mayor Kilway. Updates?
Good evening, Councilwoman Sipa. We would like to keep this at third reading. Thank you.
Absolutely. All right, ordinance 2024-75 will be kept at third reading. Do we need a motion on that? No,
I don't believe so.
no, okay.
Is that a tabling or is that a?
Are we tabling it?
We would, we'll like to table that
Okay.
until October 9th, 2025.
Mrs. Raber, we will have to take a vote on that? Okay. Do I have a motion for tabling the ordinance 2024-75 to October 9th, 2025?
So moved?
I'll second it.
Any discussion? Clerk, can you please call the roll?
Ted Roy,
Yes.
Nick Rubino,
Yes.
Jonathan Bolus.
Yes.
Christine Sippa,
Yes.
Jessica Epstein,
Yes.
Tracy Pletcher,
Yes.
Okay. Motion passes 5-0 to table this ordinance 2024-75 to October 9th, 2025. Ordinance 2024-76, authorizing the mayor to enter into an agreement with the Fraternal Order of Police consisting of Tallmadge Police Patrol officers and providing for immediate enactment. Sponsors Mayor Kilway.
Good evening. Ordinance 2024-76 and ordinance 2024-77 between the FOP patrol officers and then sergeants and lieutenants, we would like to keep at third reading. We are in the final stages of the administrative process of getting the collective bargaining agreements penned in so that both sides will agree to the fact-finding version of the contract, and then we'll be bringing it to a vote once we both agree to the red line versions. I would anticipate that to be in the very near future, so we would like to keep this at third reading.
Both of those.
Both of them, 2024-76 and 2024-77.
Okay. Do we have any discussion on that? Leaving ordinance 2024-76 in third reading. Ordinance 2024-77, authorizing the mayor to enter into an agreement with the Fraternal Order of Police consisting of Tallmadge Police Sergeants and Tallmadge Police Lieutenants and providing for immediate enactment. Sponsors Mayor Kilway. We are also leaving that in third reading. Thank you. Any discussion? Any additional items for personnel? Hearing none, I close committee.
Thanks very much. Next up is our Safety Committee. Councilman Rubino.
Thank you. I call the Safety Committee to order. The Safety Committee deals with disaster services, communications, fire, and paramedics, police, and health. We currently have no legislation before us. Does anybody have anything for the Safety Committee? Hearing none, I close committee.
All right, thank you very much. Moving along to Community Issues Committee, Councilman Roy.
Yes, I'd like to open up community issues. Community deals with parks and recreation, civil affairs, liaison between council and recreation board, and intergovernmental affairs. Tonight, we have nothing before us. Is there any additional comments? If not, I will close committee. Thank you.
Thanks very much. Next up, we'll move to our Public Service Committee with Councilwoman Epstein.
Thank you. I call Public Service Committee to order. The Public Service Committee deals with streets, highways, sidewalks, buildings and improvements, water, sewer, electricity, gas, energy resources, recycling, waste, and trash. We have nothing before us this evening. Is there anything from administration or council? Hearing none, I close committee.
Thanks very much. Moving on to reports of special committees, Council Operations Committee. No report this evening. Just wanted to give a special thank you to Justin Delaney in our IT department and Tim with Dub AV for acting quickly to get us up and running on the live stream this evening. We all are very appreciative of that. Last up, announcements. Any announcements this evening? All right, then moving on to adjournment. Do I have a motion?
I'll make a motion for adjournment.
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second to adjourn the meeting. Clerk, please call the roll.
Nick Rubino,
Yes.
Jonathan Bolus,
Yes.
Christine Sippa,
Yes.
Jessica Epstein,
Yes.
Tracy Pletcher,
Yes.
Ted Roy.
Yes.
All right, thank you. It is 8:34 PM and our meeting is now adjourned.